Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Springfield at Washington Park. If you're a visitor to Washington Park, either walking through the park or driving through, you're familiar with the house behind me, the Yates Mansion. And if you're not from Springfield, you'll find this interesting because the Yates Mansion, built in around 1901, was built by a former governor and has been owned through the years by a number of different people. But now it's owned by Mr. and Mrs. John Gray Knoll, and Pinky Knoll, half of that partnership, is here with me. And Pinky, you and your husband have the distinction of having lived in this house longer than anybody.
That's the truth.
You bought it in 1988.
87.
87.
In 1987, the day we moved in, which was the week after Christmas, it was 20 below zero.
Oh, goodness.
And
so you found out what it takes to heat a house like this.
We did. And we also found out it was our baptism by virtual fire. Mm-hmm. I took a box to the basement and I smelled gas down here. Mm-hmm. We called the gas company and there were 11 gas leaks, and that was sort of the start of the renovation problems.
The money pit.
Exactly.
But actually, I mean, you did had a bumpy start because there were a lot of things you wanted to change.
Yeah.
But it is so gorgeous now, and our audience is going to get a chance to see the inside. You did all you could do to take it back to the turn of the century time, didn't you?
We did. What our aim was to make it a family home, make it historically representative of the era, but it is not a museum. It's our home.
Mm-hmm. And you raised your kids here.
And we raised our children here.
Yeah. And they still come back.
And they still come back.
And they roughhouse in the house.
They do, and they still say they
it.
were spoiled forever by this house.
Let's talk, now that we're on the outside, I say we'll be going in later, but let's talk a little bit about the outside and the design. What do you know about how this house was designed?
The house is called Romanesque Victorian. The Romanesque part is descriptive of the heavy, chunky stone portions, which was very common for public buildings. If any of your viewers are frequent visitors of downtown Chicago or Baltimore or St. Louis or Washington, mm-hmm. D.C., many public buildings are built of this type of stone. This particular stone came from Indiana and was also the same stone used for the new Illinois State Capitol building downtown. Really? Yes.
So Governor Yates may have had access to some leftover stone.
That might be a rumor that has been circulated, yes. The top portion is more Victorian in feel. It has these, elegant swoopy lines, mm-hmm. and the shingle work, which is quite detailed. You can't see it on this side, but on the other side of the turret, there is some fancy shingle work up there, which is real common for the Victorians to mm-hmm. gussy up a house that way.
Well, it's kind of nice because it's the sweeping lines make it a much more graceful than the big big blocky stones. Yep. I want to read something. This was written by, and this is in a pamphlet that you and your husband put together, mm-hmm. but this was written by Governor Yates. I love this quote. "It was the house of our dreams. Every stone that went into the walls and every bit of wooded nature that had to be disturbed had our special attention. As usual, we had no idea the house would be so large and so costly when we started, but we never regretted building it. It was a thing of beauty and joy forever, and it was a very sad occasion when we parted with it a few years ago." Well, that's not a few years ago now. But I bet you and your husband would feel the same way if you had to part.
We do. If I could have guessed how much money and effort we'd sunk into this house in the beginning, it might have deterred me.
Yeah.
But we've never regretted it. We've enjoyed it tremendously. And it's been a source of huge satisfaction for us to know that, at least in my mind, I think we saved the house. And we sunk enough money into it now that I don't think, barring catastrophe of some type, that it would ever disappear from Springfield's landscape, which I think is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And so we have enjoyed the house so much, and we still do. We've talked about, the kids are all grown up and gone. It's us and 2 cats and rattle around in there. And we talk about downsizing, and then we go, oh God, I just can't leave it.
I can't leave it.
Just can't do it.
Another feature is the foundation is made of what I call it river rock. I guess that's river run or river rock, and that's a kind of an unusual addition to it too.
You know, I've never seen any other place around here, or never noticed it. Maybe there are other homes in our area that have it. You'll see inside the fireplace is also made of this river rock.
Okay.
And what river it came from, I don't know, and there's nobody left to ask.
You made an interesting point, and our visitors in Morgan County will find this interesting, that Governor Yates' family was from there, their farm was there, and that's where much of the walnut inside came from.
That's correct.
And that we think where maybe the river rock came from as well.
Could very well have been.
Now, to the right of that, there is a large carriage house. What was that used for originally?
Well, I actually have a picture of the carriage house from about 1905, and it shows a horse looking out the barn doors. And there was a carriage man's apartment in there. There was I don't know whether it was a stove or a fireplace on the second floor, and a bedroom up there. There were horse stalls in there, an attack and feed room. There was a hole in the, not a hole, but a chute for the manure to be pushed down into the lower. There's another level to the. You can't see it from our angle right now, but there is a basement there.
Okay.
And that was where the manure was piled in down there through a hole in the floor.
Okay, so it was stables and a place to keep the carriage.
Yep.
And this was before they were driving cars, so they were still using a carriage to get around.
Yep.
And you've done a lot of work on that, which you will also show us.
Yes, I will.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
Can we go in?
Sure.
All right.
Come on. Come on in.
Well, thank you.
Come on in.
Thank you.
There we go.
Okay, the first thing I notice when I come in here is I'm always, I notice a turret outside.
Yes.
And that's what you have is this welcoming room, this sort of welcoming parlor here for people that round the round space.
And it's it's a sitting area and gorgeous view. Not so much in the middle of January, but in the summertime, it's beautiful to sit here. Especially in the evening when the sun's coming in. It's really, really nice.
It probably feels good too because in the wintertime you get that warmth from the sun at the sunset.
Yeah.
And of course you talk about a seating area. This is a grand hall. This is a grand welcome hall, isn't it?
Grand welcome hall, grand reception hall.
Yeah.
In the day when the governor was here, he had huge political functions here and often gave speeches up here by the fireplace, which we'll show you in a minute. Yeah. This room, I understand that he had a piano in here. I know subsequent owners did have a piano in there. I've seen photographs of it. But we just use it for what in the colloquialism is parlor.
Yeah. It would have been a parlor / music room for him too, huh? Okay.
Exactly.
And of course, sort of an overflow area. If he had the kind of crowds you're talking about, and this is a grand hall, that would have been an area where he could have dressed more than just a handful of people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, Pinky, I got to ask you because I know you've told me the amount of work that you put into scraping the paint off of this beautiful walnut trim. But it's remarkable the amount of woodwork that you have in here.
It is remarkable how long it took us.
Every day after work, right?
Every day after work for months and months and months. I'm originally from Maine, and of course, no good Mainer leaves home without a lobster pick. And I had a metal lobster pick and a heat gun, and I would work on these scrolls. I made myself do one a night for a while because it was just, not only was it tedious, but the lobster picks are metal.
I bet you had bad dreams about the people that painted that woodwork. I want to show what it looked like at the time before they bought the house and before they got it, or actually after they bought it, before they got the paint scraped off. It looked very nice. The paint looked good, but it's nothing like it is now with the natural woodwork.
I think you really lose the beautiful woodwork.
You sure do.
We know exactly who painted it.
Yeah, but we don't want to say their name. Right?
It's okay because they owned one of the larger paint stores in Springfield. It made infinite sense.
It was a cheap commodity for them.
It made infinite sense.
Let's go this way. Okay, we saw the music room / parlor. And then
you can go this way and into the governor's office, which for us is a library.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that because wow, now you're talking serious woodwork. Oh my goodness.
This is a beautiful room.
It is. It's better than beautiful. You know what? I'm guessing that you didn't have to strip this woodwork.
We did not have to strip this woodwork.
What a break.
We washed it and put a lot of elbow grease in it.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Part of what made the wood stripping difficult and easy in the same way was that there was so much soot in the house that it coated all of the woodwork. And when you heated it up, it kind of slogged off. In here, there was a lot of soot from the fireplaces, and it just took some elbow grease. We just scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed,
Yeah,
and
but
it
it's
all
so much
came
better
off.
than having to take your little main tool and scrape all those little scrolls.
Oh, yes.
You've got a half bath over here
We
now?
have a half bath
But it wasn't
in there.
that before, was
No,
it?
it was a bar before, and I don't know if that's something the governor put in or whether some subsequent owner did it, but we took out the bar and we put in, kind of a cute little half bath with some period fixtures.
Yeah.
My plumber tells me I have the only house he knows of that he gets on a ladder to fix the toilet.
That's neat. And this library, his library, the governor's library, was strategically placed because he has his own entrance over here off the front porch, doesn't he?
He has a private
So you could choose
entrance.
to go in the main front door or in the governor's entrance if you wanted to come in here late at night and have a meeting with the governor and a drink. Or if you wanted to stay up late with the boys.
Or if you wanted to come in and get out without being seen.
Good point.
You know,
Good point. Yep.
Illinois politics being what they are, that may have been a convenient.
Who's paying late night trips to the governor, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of the governor, he used to have large crowds at this home, and he would sort of hold court up on a staging area where he had his own fireplace, and he would speak to the teams of people that came. So let's go take a look at that.
Yeah, let's go look at that.
After you. I mentioned the governor liking to address large numbers of people. And this was his stage, wasn't it, Pinky?
This was where he could rise above everybody and look over the crowds and talk down to them, basically, as far as I could figure.
I'm glad you all came today, and I'm glad you voted for me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, but you had a lot of work to do here.
This was a project.
This fireplace didn't look anything like it does now.
It looked nothing like it looks now. There was a marble fireplace. When we bought the house, this was all marble, and there was a colonial mantle on it, wooden, and just plain marble. And I had heard that the second owner was still living, and I went to see her in the nursing home. She was 97, Mrs. Roach, lovely lady. And I was talking to her about the marble fireplace, and she said, no, there's no marble fireplace. And I said, yes, there is. And she said, where? And I described it, and she said, that is stone, and it is solid stone, and there's no way that could be gone.
Somebody covered it up.
So I came home and got a sledgehammer and took a whack right about there.
Yeah.
And sure enough.
And you found out, and the marble fell away. That's a shame you had to break the marble just to get it off here.
I wouldn't
But
any other way.
this is the original fireplace.
That's the original fireplace.
In fact, it has some interesting features. These are cannonballs, aren't
Those
they?
are
That are embedded
cannonballs.
in here, and they come from the Civil War.
Yeah, they do.
The battlefield of the Civil War.
And this rock, I think, is the same as the foundation rock outside that we noted
That
before.
river rock we were talking
river
about.
rock, right? And when I got all that marble off and the framing all gone because it went all the way to the ceiling, this was just black with soot. And we sandblasted it. In the course of sandblasting it, we found some fossils that are embedded in here too, which was kind of fun.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. That was quite a project.
And that's a huge reach up to that next floor.
Yeah,
that
I don't
must
know how many.
Nearly 20 feet.
I don't know
amazing.
how many feet that is, but it's high.
You know, these floors, these almost look like maple. They're so blonde, but when you moved in, these floors were really dark, weren't they?
Very dark. They were as dark as the woodwork is now, and we just reversed it.
Yeah.
The woodwork was white.
Sanded them and sanded them and
These
cleaned
were
them and cleaned
sanded
them.
and cleaned in, and we put a little whitewash on it to lighten them up some more.
Beautiful. Okay, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to the, before we go into the dining room, I want to show a feature here.
Yeah.
These were not here when you moved in. Let's see, this one moves,
This
doesn't
one
it?
is a little sticky.
These were not here when you moved in.
These were not. When we were stripping the paint, we discovered a piece of wood here that fit all the way across this opening, and it was a different kind of wood. And ultimately, we decided it shouldn't be there, and I took a crowbar and popped it off, and the pocket doors were behind. So then we went looking for the doors.
Doors were gone, huh?
And the doors, because the doors were not there. And we found the doors in the carriage house.
What a break.
All the glass was busted out of them, but the doors were there, and all the hardware was still on them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we really did luck out.
So you had a glass artist put the glass in for you?
Julia Shad, who
Beautiful.
was a local Springfield resident at that time, did the Wisteria pattern for us.
And of course, this isn't much change. This is where the dining room is, and this is the dimension of the dining room. You've got your own furniture, of course, in here.
Yeah.
And your mission-style furniture is old, too, isn't it?
This was my husband's grandfather's wedding gift to John's grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And John's mother had all this, and she did not like Mission, and I told her we'd take it off her hands.
Oh, that's too bad.
for me.
That's too bad. You set a nice table, too, let me tell you.
Thank you.
And these huge mirrors. There's one on this and one in the music room, and they just sort of bounce back and forth forever, don't they?
You're here forever.
Yeah.
So come on in the kitchen.
Okay, thank you. Now, the kitchen, I asked you, gee whiz, you know, this seems like about the right size for a house this big. But the kitchen wasn't nearly this big, was it?
No, this was, initially it was 3 rooms. There was a large pantry on that side. The kitchen.
So there was a wall going across here, and this was all pantry.
There was a wall going here with a doorway into the dining room. So the pantry held the linens and tableware and serving dishes for the family. And then from here over was the kitchen. And it came back to, there was a radiator here. And then the
right
wall
in the
went
middle of
this
the room.
right in the middle of the room. And then the wall went this way, so there was a little walk area and the laundry chute over here. But the kitchens it was very small in my book, and I think in those days the help was expected to make do with whatever was afforded them.
Yeah.
Small or otherwise.
Yeah.
So the cook lived upstairs. There's a bedroom upstairs for the.
Didn't bother Mrs. Yates that it was a small kitchen?
No,
She didn't have to cook.
She didn't have to cook, and I don't think, and I know Mrs. Roach never cooked. She told me she never did. Yeah. So it was cute.
You know, you were good enough to get these pictures out for me. This gentleman here is the first Governor Yates. This is the Civil War Governor Yates.
That's correct.
I don't remember his first name.
It was also Richard.
It was Richard. Okay,
Sr. Yeah.
Richard Jr., this is the man that built this house.
Correct.
And lived here for 14 years. And this picture on the bottom is interesting because this is in 1905, I think, right after the house was completed. And you can see the neighborhood has changed quite a bit. The house looks remarkably the same.
It does look the same, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, how about upstairs?
We can go upstairs.
All right.
Get your hiking boots on. It's a hike. We'll go up the main staircase.
Well, Pinky,
right.
I already counted. There's 15 steps between the first and second floors on this house. So these are high ceilings.
And the high ceilings,
Yeah.
if you leave something in the basement and you have to take it up to the bedroom.
Get your exercise, don't you?
Get good exercise.
This, you know, we
So-
mentioned the landing downstairs where the governor would go ahead and have his, speeches. This landing's even bigger on the second
This
floor.
landing is enormous. It's 17 feet long and was a real challenge to decorate. I had a little trouble with that initially.
Well, yeah, because it's not a room. So what do you do?
It's
right?
not a room, and I've always worried about the banister being a little low with all the children.
Yeah,
So we were just trying to discourage anybody looking over or throwing stuff over, as the case may be.
But it's gorgeous to have this kind of space, isn't it? Just to have this walking around space. And off of this landing, all 6 bedrooms up here have a door.
That's correct. We have 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. This bedroom,
And that's just on this floor.
correct.
Yeah.
So walking into this bedroom, this room used to be the Episcopalian chapel when the Archdiocese owned the building in the 60s and 70s. And this was actually the only room we changed structurally. There was a wall across here. And this, which is now open, this was where the chapel, I don't know, I can't come up with the word now, but they had drop ceilings and
they had like a cathedral thing going on.
in here.
Interesting. Okay, so the Reverend had it was his office.
Kind,
Chapel was his
basically,
office,
yes,
his
it was.
workplace.
Yep.
And
so out here, the next bedroom on our right is one of my children's. This was my son's room, and it's a lovely view out to Washington Park from there. And you might enjoy some of these wallpapers, which I think I mentioned to you earlier that once I found the right book, it was so easy to find wallpapers. This room we use as just as a sitting room, and the kids used it as a music room when they were younger. But I just love these wallpapers.
And you went for period, didn't you, when you were doing that?
We did.
I want to show something because we mentioned earlier how hard you all worked on the floors. All the floors in the house looked like this closet.
All of them did.
And you left this closet so you'd be reminded of all the hard work you did.
That's exactly right.
But you can see the dramatic contrast between that and the floors that you ended up with.
And what we have now.
Wow. And they almost look new, you know? I mean, they look like the work
up here they've worn very well. Downstairs it's been a little bit more
and these bedrooms all flow from one right to the next. This is the master bedroom.
This is the master bedroom. This was another fireplace that had been covered over. The electricians found the chimney when we were...
When you bought the house, you didn't even know there was a fireplace
I didn't know there was a fireplace there. No.
That's phenomenal.
No. And when the electricians were rewiring the house, they told me there was a fireplace there. So that was kind of fun. So this is obviously our master bedroom, and this is our master bathroom.
Oh, and you've got this real old-timey, too, with the old tub.
Yep.
And I kind of like that because it's got an archway at the top. And you followed that sort of theme with the step up and the archway. That's neat.
And there's arches behind you as well, where the shower and water closet in. Again, it's another...
And then we've put a shower in there, and the archway theme kind of follows through. That's nice.
This bedroom we use...
This gets very bright. This room gets real bright.
Yeah, this bedroom we use as an office. And... in my next, when I win the lottery, I've always thought maybe I would enlarge the bathroom to come in here, but...
You know, this is we got to show these ribbons. I mean, you're quite the horsewoman, aren't you?
Oh, I try to be.
There are ribbons. I don't know how many ribbons there are here, but there are a lot of blue ones.
There's lots of blue.
There are a lot of blue. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You must be very talented.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. Work very hard at it, don't you?
I do. So this way, there's another bathroom.
Right, and this was the main one for the kids.
This is the main one for the children.
Okay, and that's a big bathroom in there. And actually, that looks that's really pretty too.
And now we're getting into the servants' quarters back here. So this room.
This is the back staircase. That would have been the one the servants took up from the kitchen.
And this would be the cook's bedroom. Here, and that there's a door right down at the end of the hall here, which we think at one point led to an outdoor porch for her. It's the roof of the entryway at the kitchen, but now you wouldn't want to do that.
She could go have a smoke.
She could.
Or whatever she wanted to do,
Exactly, yeah.
Well, this is very interesting. 6 bedrooms, and your kids, I mean, your kids grew up in this house.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes, they did.
You used these rooms.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to see this, but upstairs on the 3rd floor used to be storage. It was an attic, and you made that into living space as well.
We did. Yeah, we did. Not historically as well as we did here, but we did finish the attic. Yeah.
Okay, you know, earlier in the program we promised the Carriage house.
Yes.
Because y'all did a lot of work out there.
We did a ton of work
So I'm going to ask you to take us out there.
All right, let's go to the Carriage house.
Well, Pinky, of all the restoration that you and John did, this carriage out here was the biggest headache because it was actually falling apart, wasn't it?
It was rotting from the inside out. The water from the alley was seeping and running through it, and the wildlife had found a way to get inside, and it really was a mess. The roof had collapsed, and we had to make an executive decision to keep it or not.
Yeah.
And when we finally decided that we would save it, the costs were large, I think, to say the least. And by the time we saved the exterior, we'd sunk so much money into it, we decided to finish it all the way.
When it was a barn / carriage house, it had 3 garage doors, 1, 2, equidistant across, and this human entrance door was not here.
That was the second modification. Originally, there was a person door and a barn door for the horses and carriages. And then there were 3 car doors added and no person door.
Yeah.
And we had to get more stone eventually and secure up the sides of the walls because they were weakened with the prior renovations.
Yeah. Well, we have some pictures of
yes,
that.
we do.
We can go inside and take a look at that.
Let's go look at those.
And let's go in the human door here, and we'll go back and see what you've done to this place, because you've really modernized it now.
So this is our carriage house.
You've made an apartment.
We have made an apartment.
And this is also your pool house as well.
It's also our pool house.
So you go downstairs from here and you can exit right onto the swimming pool.
This building is 3 stories. There's the basement, which has a bathroom for the pool house, and you can access it directly from the pool. And then this is the first floor, which is a little kitchenette, sitting area, a little dinette place.
Yeah.
And then upstairs there is a seating area with a small bedroom and a big bathroom.
Let me show us what this place looked like when you first started working on it. You can see that the roof is actually rotting off in this picture right here. And same way with this over here. And this is where you can see the three garage doors side by side, and you can see that the poor thing is so leaning, and the roof is just about caved in. I think you all got this at just the right time, because I think if you waited another year, you might not have had a carriage house to save.
I think the decision might have been made for us.
Yeah, it was horrendous, and you all that was a big decision, and you made the right one, because this is really cool.
It's a fabulous building. Yeah, it's really a fun building, and we've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it. A lot of use too.
Well, we got a lot of enjoyment out of this program. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's our pleasure.
And John couldn't be here, but tell him thank you too for letting us wander around his house. Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Come back again for the depot.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Actually, I wanted to talk about that depot before we leave. This isn't their last project. They also have bought the Great Western Depot downtown from the State Journal Register. That will serve as John's law office, but the Knolls will keep that open as a visitor center. With another Illinois story in Springfield, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.